I guess at what age do you think you were most competitive?
That's a hard one. Probably in my teenage years.
Yes.
So high school and maybe early college.
I would say there's like the most amount of things to be juggling at those ages too. So it probably is channeled into competitiveness and just being high strung and all that. I was talking to one of my colleagues about his son who's going through the college, application process and the Facebook group where people are posting about where they're going and their report cards and they're comparing everything. And it's just like such a high pressure, environment. And I think that's can be really tough on kids.
Welcome to The Other 3 Years, a show for anyone who has an Olympic-sized dream they want to turn into a reality. Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of The Other 3 Years. This week is super fun. I have my brother as my guest on the podcast. So I only have one sibling. I have a little brother. His name is Joe Wagner, and he is younger than me, but he is, I think, a little bit taller, or we're the same height. I'm not exactly sure. But my brother is definitely the coolest Wagner sibling. Forever has been. When we were younger, he was much better than me at sports. It's, I think, a bit crazy that I am the one that pursued athletics at the level I did, because he definitely had way more hand-eye coordination and just was way better at all of the ball sports and all that stuff growing up. No, I mean, I love Joe so much. I have so much respect for him, and I just think he is really great. I'm not even lying. Like, obviously we fought a little bit when we were growing up, but now I just think it's so cool that he's my brother, and I am so proud of him that he's turned into this, incredible man, and that he's so successful in his business and in his life and everything. He's such a good friend, and now just this amazing husband and son and brother, and he's just like really an all-around great person. And I just feel so lucky that he's my brother because he's so supportive of me and, rowing, but obviously me beyond rowing, because he's my family. And I think he thinks that it's cool that I'm rowing, but mostly because I think he thinks it makes me happy. And, that's all we want for our loved ones, is for them to be happy. So I hope that everyone enjoys our conversation. It was funny. It was definitely funny to have him on the podcast. Definitely a more professional conversation that we've ever had. We've definitely never had a recorded conversation, but I really appreciate him coming on. He's very busy, so I appreciate him coming on and taking the time and sharing an inside look into us growing up and me and our sibling relationship. So I think it's going to be really fun for everyone to hear and learn a little bit more about us. And he works in commercial real estate in Boston, so if anybody needs anything there, he's the go-to guy. Hit him up. But maybe don't, because he's also really busy. But before we get into that, here is an update on what is currently going on in training. So we're still in selection camp, still in Sarasota, Florida. Really not that much has happened since last week. But for me personally, definitely been stringing together more consecutive training, more consecutive good days. I did some workouts on the erg last week in a very hot and humid tent. They built us this tent down here at Nathan Benderson Park, and it is a very fancy tent, and it's been really, really great, and it still is really great. But oh my goodness, it's now hot in Florida. Like, I feel like the temperature just suddenly swung, and now it is hot, like in the 80s, and inside the tent it is humid and very sweaty. I am not a very sweaty person. Like, I'd say I'm a light to average sweater. I sweat during practice, but I was completely drenched, like dripping. It looked like I had jumped in a pool all of the days that I did erg workouts in the tent. So definitely had to be really careful to refuel and rehydrate after those. It's funny, like it normally is better off the water than on the water. Like when it's hot, it's really hot on the water, which it has been, especially because it's been a little bit windy. And when you're going in a tailwind, which means the wind is helping you, it's just like suffocating if it's really hot, because you just like can't even breathe. There's no sort of let up. But then you get to go the other way when you're out on the water in the wind. And when it's either a crosswind or a headwind, the breeze is kind of nice. But in the tent, it was just like stagnant. Yeah, just hot and sweaty down here in Florida. It's been a little bit windy. It was a little windy this weekend and it's a little bit windy today, Monday, but it's supposed to get better as the week goes on. So that's exciting. And, you got to be able to row in any weather. Can't just be a good specific wind rower. You have to be adaptable and able to row in any conditions. So we're still getting out there. But yeah, it's just an intense time. Everyone's doing selection and everyone's got big goals. So definitely just kind of buckling down on all of that. I did go to, there's a mini golf place owned by Tiger Woods, or I don't know if he owns it, established by Tiger Woods right near where we row and where we're staying. So I did that on Saturday. I'm not very good at mini golf, which actually I think Joe and I talk about in the episode. So that was interesting. But I did have fun. It was fun. It was a little more expensive than I think maybe it should have been, but that's okay. I'm happy to, help Tiger get even more wealthy. But it was fun. It was nice, something else to do, a little walk around, move your body in a different way. So that was my fun weekend activity. We also had daylight savings, but it goes the other way. So you lose an hour of sleep. That's always kind of a bummer. And now it's very dark in the morning when we're going to row, but it'll be light again soon. So daylight savings has become a pretty controversial topic. And I just, I feel like in life, you just have to pick your battles sometimes. And to me personally, daylight savings is not a battle that I am going to die on, which is not to say that it's not an important thing for people to have opinions on. I think that that's totally fine and good. And I support people in whatever decisions and sort of advocacy they want to take forth. But for me, it's just not, I'll adjust. Yeah. So those riveting things are kind of what's been happening recently. So now it's time for my conversation with my brother, Joe Wagner. Okay, so Joe, welcome. Joe is my little brother for people that don't know. How would you introduce yourself in the business world?
Hello, my name is Joe. Yes, I'm Kristi's little brother. I am 29 years old.
Yes, and Joe works in commercial real estate. He lives in Boston. He just got married. He plays golf. He played golf in college, so we were both college athletes. But Joe played a lot of sports, which we're going to talk about. So Joe had me send him questions beforehand, which I will say when my mom was on the podcast, she also asked for, and I did not send her questions.
Well, thank you very much for that. Very sweet.
You're welcome. Okay, so I thought first, Joe, we could talk about when we were growing up, what that was like. We can share an inside view of our childhood with the people that listen to the podcast.
Wonderful. Well, Mom and Dad tell me that when I was born, so when we were very young, you were very sweet. You loved me a lot. You were very nice. And then I guess when we got a little bit older, we're sometimes nice. And we had some sibling rivalries and some fights. But then as we got through, we became very, very close again and have a wonderful relationship. Sincerely. So yes, I mean, I look very fondly back on our childhood and our upbringing, and I think we are very, very, very fortunate and had wonderful role models, our parents, our family, and our friends. So that's very lucky.
Well, the funny thing is, obviously our parents are pretty tall, and I feel like I've always been tall, but I'm only like a year older than Joe, and I was so much bigger than him when we were kids. So that was probably an unfair advantage I had in our fight. Unfair advantage
and the fact that I had red hair. So we got quite a few questions about if I truly belonged or not. I am 6'1" now, so I think I do belong, and I do think that I am a Wagner. But yes, one of my early memories of Kristi was that she was always tall.
Yeah, Joe didn't make like the basketball team or baseball team. What was it when they said you were too small?
Yes, I was asked to stay after basketball practice sophomore year, and I thought that I had done something good, but they told me that I was just simply too small and I was cut. So
I'm sorry to make you relive that, but our dad was like, "Are you serious? He's obviously going to get bigger." Like,
yes, he was like, "Does he want to come over and see how tall me, my wife, and my daughter are?" Like, it's very short-sighted.
Yeah. So yeah, but I feel like sports had a pretty big role in our lives growing up. You know, we both played lots of sports. I'd really argue that you were definitely like the more athletic one in our family.
But yeah, sports were always a big part of everything, whether it was playing or watching. I mean, some of my earliest memories are, of Dad waking me up in 2004 to show me that the Red Sox were going to win the World Series, tennis lessons in Key Biscayne with our cousins and grandparents, football games with General and like all those things. So major part of our lives and upbringing. My first word was ball. It wasn't Kristi. So it was always an enormous part. And I guess, I think probably partly because I didn't hit my growth spurt for a very long time, I was, more coordinated and very coordinated. So my skill level might have been a little bit higher, but, my physical prowess might not have been there. So I think maybe early on I had a little bit more skill in athleticism, but I am now wearing a collared shirt and going to the office while you're training for the Olympics. So.
Yeah. But I mean, I think it's interesting, like being from Boston and growing up in the time that we grew up. You're right. Watching sports also just had this sort of enormous impact. And I don't think only on us, but on like a lot of people of our generation.
Yes.
I don't know.
No, absolutely. I mean, we're from a Boston sports city, and it was in our blood. It was in our water.
We had no choice.
We had no choice.
Have you been watching the Dynasty?
I have, yes. Jenny and I have been watching the Dynasty. It has been great. Yeah, it's been lovely. We were at home for Mama's birthday, and so we watched a episode with Dad, and it was the episode where the Patriots lost the Super Bowl to not have a perfect season against the Giants, and Dad decided that he didn't like that series, The Dynasty, because of that one episode. I understand why he might not have liked it based off that one case study, but
he hadn't watched any of the other episodes. No. He just watched that one.
He's read the book though, so I think it was. But yes, he was like, "Oh, this isn't like the book."
That's hilarious. That's a very classic dad situation.
Yes.
But it's so. I mean, I've really been enjoying it. I don't know. I feel like it's so good.
Yeah, no, it's been great. I would be watching more of it if I knew how to work my TV, but I don't know how to work my TV, so I've only watched 3 episodes. That's the truthful answer.
So you need Jenny to watch?
I don't think Jenny knows how to work the TV either. We haven't really had a working TV in about a week and a half. We'll get there though. We'll call someone.
I understand.
Yeah.
That's newlywed life.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So what did you like about playing sports when you were a kid, when you were little? And what do you still like about it? Because you still, I mean, Joe works very, very hard, but I swear we get pictures of him on the golf course many days a week. So
part of my job. What I like most about sports is the competitiveness. I like to win. I like to compete. I like there to be something to win. So that's certainly my favorite part. But I think a very close second part of it is community, especially as I'm getting older and it's not as much about winning. It's always about winning, but it's about meeting people and being either competing, meeting people that you're competing against or that are on your team. It's the community aspect of it. There's nothing like sports that bring people together, and there's no, better way to spend an afternoon than on a golf course, maybe in a boat. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, those are probably my top 2 things, my favorite things about sports.
Ooh, do you want to tell everyone about your basketball league?
Oh, at my current basketball league?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Well, I've grown, so I get to play basketball again, which is nice. And I actually get to play basketball again in the same place where I was cut, which is the Weston Middle School gym. So I play some basketball on Tuesday evenings with some guys that I work with and many Weston fathers. It's lovely. We get to run around and shoot some hoops and unwind from the workday.
Are you the youngest person that's played?
I am the youngest person that plays. My friend James is the second youngest person that plays, and then the third youngest is a little bit older than that.
That's fun, though. I feel like it would be fun to play, I don't know, a team sport like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Winter sports are fun. I get to play some paddle tennis, platform tennis, and basketball, and golf simulators.
So what did you think about rowing when I started doing it, like in high school?
I thought, that seems nice. It's certainly not for me, but that's nice.
You didn't think it was weird? I feel like it was a weird sport in our school.
I don't think it was. No, certainly not. I mean, I had familiarity because some of our cousins grew up rowing, and we have the head of the Charles in Boston, and like it's a sport that's known. It's not like we were from a different area where it didn't have rowing, and it was like this completely foreign thing. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely a little bit weirder than golf or some of the more mainstream sports. No, I thought when you first started rowing, I thought it was pretty neat because you were so good at it from the get-go. I mean, you were nationals in like that freshman boat, and the whole college recruiting process where I felt like that little brother from The Blind Side when like every college coach was coming to the house with hats and being like, "Hey, buddy, here's a hat from blah blah blah," and I'm like, "Oh, it's college recruiting process gonna be sick." It was not the same for me. I actually had to like reach out to coaches and beg them to take me, but.
Did you ever consider rowing?
No, absolutely not. No, I think I've been in a boat once, right? Once, I think.
Yeah, once. Yeah, you were not bad.
No, I mean, I like canoeing, I think.
Stand-up paddleboarding?
Stand-up paddleboarding's all right. I liked it more than Dad liked it.
Oh, Dad hated it.
Yeah, he didn't like it. I don't know. I'm more of a land sports guy. I think maybe boats, since like we had those sail lessons on the vineyard like way back when, and I like
you
didn't love that. Yeah, I think I never was like super interested in being on the water.
You did play a sport in college.
I did play.
You got recruited.
I did play a sport. I did get recruited. It was great. I mean, I loved my teammates. Our team was middle of the pack, I think, is generous. And I like freshman and sophomore year, I was, I think it was Division III, so I don't think it was as competitive as from Weston High School. We would win states every year, and we were the best, and we were all best friends. And then I got to school, and it was like we weren't winning, and it wasn't as competitive, and we had to miss class and social events. I was going to say social events in class, but it was more upsetting that I had to miss class, I guess, for our golf tournaments. But no, I mean, overall, I still had a great experience with it. It was definitely a smaller piece of my college life than I think rowing was yours. I still was an NCAA athlete.
Yeah. No, I mean, rowing was definitely a big thing. Did you think that I was going to keep doing it after college, or did you think I was going to stop?
No, I did not think that you were going to do it after college because you got a job.
I did. Yeah. So were you surprised when I quit my job and decided to keep rowing?
I was. I don't think you told me. I think Mom told me. And you know how she gets a little bit awkward when she has like some news to share that she doesn't know how she feels about it. So she was like, "Hi, Joey. Your sister, quit her job and is gonna row." And I was like, "Oh, okay, interesting. That's cool." I mean, I was a junior in college or something.
You were still in college.
So
yeah.
I feel like it would have like more so been because you were in Boston, and if I were in Boston, it probably would have been more like a whoa. But I think it was still like a whoa.
Mom and Dad were so like, "I'm not sure that's the best idea."
Well, yes.
It all worked out. So
it did
okay.
work out. It did work out. Yeah. I'm sure they're happy now that it happened the way that it did.
Yeah. Do you enjoy attending rowing events?
Most of them. They're a bit more fun when you do well, which is.
I'm not very fun when I don't do well.
I'm not very fun when I don't play, golf well either. So I get it. But no, getting to go to London is pretty sweet. Getting to visit you in Florida, going up to Saratoga. Yeah, I mean, the rowing events are great, but just it's usually with family and friends and seeing you. And, that all makes it pretty great. And I feel like I end up going to at least a couple rowing events every year. It's part of life now.
Yeah. Chris Adams always told a funny story that like at his first Head of the Charles, I like went by or whatever, and he was like, "Whoa, was that it?" And you said something like, "We've flown halfway across the world for those like 15 seconds."
We have. We've gone through Buffalo, New York, and up to Canada, and no, but yeah, Head of the Charles is awesome. And I usually get some good swag. Mom usually buys me some nice swag. I usually get like a nice sweater, hat, socks. So pretty good.
Mom's always buying you stuff at the regattas. Even this summer at World, she was like, we have to go get something for Joe and Jen. Like, do you think they'll like this? Whatever. It's like, I'm sure they will. I don't know.
The World stuff is awesome. Jenny has her sweatshirt. She wears her sweatshirt a lot. I think she was actually showing a home the other day, and the buyer or something was like U.S. rowing, and she was like, my sister-in-law's blah, blah, blah. And so they got to very exciting. So it's helping her with her network. So thank you.
I've helped you network a little bit, haven't I?
Absolutely.
Like certain people. Yeah. That makes me feel good.
Yes. Thank you.
I can help.
Thank you.
What was it like when I made the Olympic team? Or I guess maybe that whole year, because you guys came to Florida for like singles trials and...
Yes, very exciting year. Yes, I remember the trials, and I was doing the running. I was faster than Dad. I was closer to the finish line, which was great. I mean, that was a blast. Watching you online when you qualified for Tokyo was insane. I was in my office screaming at the top of my lungs, and I think it was like a property manager came in. He's like, "Hey, you all right in there?" And I was like, "Yes, my sister just made it to the Olympics." And he was like, "All right, very well." So that was very, very cool. Very exciting. I mean, obviously, we all know how much it meant to you to give up so much to get there. So it was emotional, but it was really special.
Yeah. No, it was. Then I remember we had steak from like Ruth's Chris.
Oh, yes, when you flew home. Yes. That was great. I will always show up for some nice steak and mashed potatoes, and probably some broccoli or asparagus. Probably some chocolate cake, Abe and Louie's chocolate cake. Yes, that was hilarious.
Yeah,
I remember that. Balloons too, I think.
I think so. I just remember because Dad was there. Dad was in Princeton, and then he drove us back to Weston, and he was like obviously so hyped and so excited. And we stopped for pizza first, and I was like, couldn't even eat the pizza, didn't feel good. And then we finally got home, and you guys were all like, "Oh, we got all this steak, whatever." And Dad just kind of pulls me aside, and he's like, "Eat the steak." I'm like, okay.
That reminds me of when Mina and Max stopped for McDonald's before Thanksgiving that one time. Sorry to blow up your spot, Mina and Mac, if you're listening.
That was hilarious. And then you guys had a pretty funny experience trying to watch the final of the Olympics.
Oh yes, that was quite insane. Yes, there was a massive storm. We were in Weston. We had it all set up, and then the power went out. So we had to all get in the car, and it was like 10 minutes before. We drove over to Waltham. We went to, where'd we go? Jake and Joe's like sports bar, and some of the people were trying to be nice, being like, "Oh, our daughter, our friend or whatever, she's rowing in the Olympics." And I'm like, "Put the thing on, let's go." I was not being as nice. Oof, yeah, that was stressful. But we got it. I think, well, we were also following on our like phones, I think. So we So this year we'll be there in person.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I obviously wasn't there, but apparently Joe was like yelling at the bartender or the whatever guy to put the thing on. And he's like, "Is your sister racing at the Olympics right now? No, I don't think you understand. Like, you're saying you understand. I don't think you understand."
I'm usually very sweet. It's usually someone else in my family does that, but I guess I have a little bit of that in me.
No, it's stressful. And that's just like, I mean, and the other thing is like, at where our parents live, there's no internet, like no cell phone service at all. So if the internet's out, like you can't do anything.
Yeah, it was not a good situation.
I mean, I still have to be named to the team, so knock on wood. But what are you looking forward to about the Olympics? I mean, besides like, well, obviously watching me, which I know would be the highlight.
Yeah, I mean, just everything. I was pretty excited about the prospect of going to Tokyo. I mean, I studied abroad in Shanghai, and I've gone to China 3 times abroad to learn Chinese, and like think Asia's awesome, and Tokyo, Japan is supposed to be insane. So, I mean, there was so much hype for that, and for a short instance, I think we thought that we were going. So that was disappointing that we weren't able to go. So just to be going and, knock on wood, like you said, but to just get to go and be a part of that entire, whatever, the village and the festivities and the other sports. And then, I mean, obviously you're in Paris in the summer. I don't think it gets much better than that. So that all sounds pretty good. A nice baguette, Americano. I don't know.
Yeah. But I feel like it is, I don't know. I was definitely sad. Well, obviously I was sad that you guys couldn't come, but it's just kind of crazy. Like you and mom and dad and, whatever other people in our family have made such like sacrifices as well to help me achieve my goals and stuff. And I feel like they do so much to make everyone feel like the magnitude of the moment when I was there. And so I was definitely sad that you guys didn't get to experience that, because it is like a big deal,
Yeah,
so.
No, of course. Yeah. And you guys didn't, you have to you didn't fully experience the whole thing either, because you had to be sent home like at a certain time after the last race. And I'm sure you're probably pretty excited at the prospect of getting to fully embrace and enjoy all of it. Yeah.
We couldn't go to anything else, and you had to leave within 24 hours of your event ending. So
it's crazy. And the thing I'm most looking forward to it too is that I'll be playing in the golf, competition there. So
yes, naturally.
So that's pretty cool. Hopefully our competition don't get scheduled.
Overlap.
Yeah, scheduled on the same day. That would be unfortunate. Mom and dad, they'd have to, divide and conquer. But
parent-teacher conference night all over
exactly.
Again. Who do you think is more competitive between the two of us?
Like generally, if we were to say like across the board in everything that we do, I would say you are.
You're pretty competitive though.
I'm pretty competitive, but I mean, you're very competitive. Everything is competitive. I think I am not as competitive.
I think I've mellowed out a little bit as I've gotten older.
Yes, but I think but I think like if there were 10 activities in a day, I think 9 of the 10 you'd probably be competitive at, and I'd probably be like 6 or 7 out of 10. So both more than the typical person, I would say, but I think you versus me, maybe you a little bit more.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. So you agree?
I think so. I do think I've like mellowed out a little bit.
Of course.
But we both like to win.
Winning is much more fun than losing. I mean, I had a handful of business pitches today, and one of them we actually saw our competitors leaving the pitch when we were walking into the pitch.
Ooh.
So that makes it a little bit more spicy. So we'll win that one.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's cool because while we do very different things on our day to day, I feel like we can both be so impressed and like proud of each other, which is really nice.
Absolutely. Yeah. Older sister role model.
Oh, you're my role model too. One day I hope to make as much money as you. No, and do a lot of things.
Oh, right. You can do anything you want to do.
Thank you. No, but I mean, I feel like it's so crazy to me. Like people talk about their siblings and I'm like, you're crazy. Like, well, I only have one sibling. You're the only person that will be there my whole life.
No, it's
like,
yeah.
Experience everything that I experience.
It's pretty special. And I think, I mean, I'm biased because I have an older sister, you have a younger brother, but I think that of the, 4 kind of typical sibling relationships, sisters, brothers, older brother, younger sister, boys can fight with each other, girls can fight with each other, older brother can be too protective. So I think that just the dynamic that we have is pretty special and has created the bond that we share.
It's true, yeah. Yeah, I feel like the people would have wanted us to be like, yeah, we hate each other. That makes for good podcast listening, but...
Well, they would have to bring us to a mini golf course to really see that.
I haven't lost my mind playing mini golf in a long time.
I learned how to throw golf clubs on the course from Kristi when we played mini golf, so...
I am not the best mini golfer, and I am a sore loser. Anything like that. Mini golf, bowling.
Oh yeah, bowling.
Croquet.
Oof.
You don't want to do that with me.
Nope.
Do you have any questions for me?
I guess at what age do you think you were most competitive?
That's a hard one. Probably in my teenage years.
Yes.
So high school and maybe early college.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I would say there's like the most amount of things to be juggling at those ages too. So it probably is channeled into competitiveness and just being high strung and all that.
I don't think it helped me that, I mean, Weston was obviously so great, but the amount of competition in school, I think also was pretty hard for me. Yeah.
Absolutely. I was talking to one of my colleagues about his son who's going through the college, application process and the Facebook groups where people are posting about where they're going and their report cards and they're comparing everything. And it's just like such a high pressure, environment. And I think that's can be really tough on kids.
Yeah, I feel like there was just so much comparison at Weston High. Like everyone knew everyone else's business.
Yeah.
Which I just don't think is true everywhere.
Right.
And I was talking to someone about Naviance. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that was the one that was like, hey, one person applied. This was their GPA. This was their SAT score. And it was like, yeah, I went to Pitzer College. Everyone can tell exactly what my scores were and what my GPA was.
Yeah, exactly. Well, everyone could tell exactly what mine were, too, because my dot was pretty far away from everybody else's dot that went to Yale.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly. And then you start getting attacked for like, oh, you didn't deserve to go there because you're, craziness. When am I going to see you next?
I don't know. I wish I could go to Miami this weekend. Joe's coming to Florida this weekend.
I will be in Florida this
Going
weekend.
to see our good friends and then our grandparents, but we have practice. So.
I understand. I'll wave to you across the great state of Florida.
I don't know. I'll probably, it's a little unclear to me if we'll stay in Florida through April, because in May, I think we'll go to Europe for the Second World Cup. And I don't know if we'll go back like to Princeton and be on the East Coast before that, or if we'll just stay in Florida. So
got it.
It's obviously a lot easier to get home.
Well, nice.
If not, hopefully later this summer.
Definitely later this summer.
Otherwise, we just got to start attending Jenny's trips with her.
Looks pretty good to be on the beach drinking in Mexico right now.
I think I'm just gonna stick to your guys' social calendar next year.
Do it. You can come.
Just see how the other half
come
lives.
And join anytime you'd like. Thank you very much for having me on your podcast.
Thank you. Oh, do you have any favorite quotes? I always end the show with a quote.
No, I don't have a favorite quote, but I have a favorite joke, which Mom really likes, which is, where does a general keep his armies?
Oh, my God.
He keeps them in his sleeveys. Yep, that's the one. So it's hilarious, and I'll leave everyone with that.
My mom used to tell this joke all the time because our grandfather, we called him General, so she thought it was very funny.
It is funny.
And Joe thinks it's very funny now, apparently. Well, Joe was voted class clown, so I guess we can take it from him.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I love you.
I love you too. So I hope everyone enjoyed my conversation with Joe. I'm so grateful to him for coming on, and I hope that everyone enjoyed a sneak peek into what it was like being a Wagner child growing up. The Weston Wagners, as my cousins called us, because I have other Wagner cousins. So to end the show this week, I'm going to share a quote
from this book that my mom gave me again. That is again called You Are Amazing. And it has a lot of really inspirational quotes. And they're not all cheesy, but for some reason, the ones that I like are, well, I like all of them. The ones I've chosen to share are a little bit funny and cheesy. So this one is from Iris Murdoch. I don't know who that is. I'm sorry, Iris. And they say, one of the secrets of a happy life is continuous small treats. So I hope everyone has a small treat or a big treat in honor of me today. Okay, have a good week. Thanks. See you next time. Bye. I'd love to hear from you. So send us a topic suggestion, or if you'd like to submit a question for our Ask Kristi Anything segment, head to our website, theother3years.com.